What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka New York Prepper, and I wanted to talk about sleeper cells in this video. And sleeper cells are an interesting topic, and I don't think a lot of YouTube preppers talk about sleeper cells. So I wanted to just dedicate an entire video to sleeper cells and my opinions on it and why I think they're a threat to every prepper and every American citizen. So, if you guys don't know what a sleeper cell is, the term was famously coined by Tom Clancy in his books and his video games. Um, but a sleeper cell is just basically a foreign agent that is embedded in a country, and they can be turned on and activated at any time to carry out different types of attacks. They could be terrorist attacks, they could be sabotage attacks, they could be attacks on civilians, they could be attacks on infrastructure, they could be terrorist attacks to intimidate the population and have some kind of psychological effects. Sleeper cells can be used to sway elections. They can be used for false flags, to sway elections and for psychological purposes. Um, so that's what a sleeper cell is. The reason why it's called a sleeper cell is that it's a dormant, agent. The agent, which would be the cell. It could be a single person. It could be a group of people, and they remain dormant, so they're asleep until they have orders from their home country to carry out attacks in the country that they're trying to affect, whatever country they're embedded in or they've infiltrated. So sleeper that's what a sleeper cell is. Now, what you're looking at on the screen here is a what I believe to be a sleeper cell attack, one of the first in recent times. And that was in California in 2013. There was a attack on a transformer, a bunch of transformers. It was a substation, a huge, huge substation in central California near San Jose. The media didn't really talk about it too much, as typical. The media wants to, keep the sheeple, feeling happy and comfortable. They don't want people to know that there's sleeper cells out there. They just want you to continue on with your life, keep working, keep paying your bills, keep paying your taxes, and watch your favorite show and sit on the couch and don't do anything to protect your family. But I'm here to tell you that sleeper cells are very real, and they're all over the place. Okay, and you know I have connections to the intelligence community, so I'm not just pulling this out of thin air. And the people that I talk to, they tell me that sleeper cells are very real. And what kind of sleeper cells do I personally think that we should be concerned about here in the U.S.? I would say Islamic sleeper cells or Islamic radicals, like Al Qaeda or ISIS, one of those types. Um, we could have Russian sleeper cells, which I believe are in this country. Chinese sleeper cells, which I believe are in this country. I do believe Islamic sleeper cells are in the country as well. Those would be the big three that I think we should be concerned with as American citizens, especially as preppers and armed citizens, armed and prepared citizens. We need to be concerned with sleeper cells now, during rule of law and also after SHTF. But, uh, you know, this attack on the Metcalf station in California was very sophisticated, and it's just proof how one or a small group of people can do massive damage. And in this case, this was a group of gunmen that were trying to shoot it. They were shooting at transformers, and they were trying to basically take down the entire power grid for California and maybe beyond by disabling those transformers, which transformers are critical for electrical supply in a power grid. And another thing about transformers is they take a long time to repair. You can't just replace a transformer overnight. So it's lasting damage that, they could bring down the grid, in a local, let's say if they succeeded with this attack, they would have brought down the grid for a period of weeks or months. And so this is a real life case study, and I want to just, go over this real quick and talk about what I think could potentially happen in this country. All right. So in this attack, you had gunmen firing on 17 transformers, which resulted in more than $15 million worth of equipment damage. All right. $15 million worth of damage from a bunch of guys shooting AK-47s at transformers. Okay. $15 million. So on the morning of April 16th, 2013, a team of gunmen using rifles opened fire on the Metcalf substation, severely damaging 17 transformers. They were using 7.62 by 39. Those are the cases that they found. Those are the shells, the shell casings. All right. So it's probably an AK-47 that they had of some kind, or maybe an SKS. And what's interesting is they say this was very sophisticated. Prior to the attack, a series of fiber optic cables operated by AT&T were cut by these gunmen. Okay, most likely to probably disable security cameras and any kind of wireless security systems. And additionally, following the attack, investigators found small piles of rocks where the shots had been fired, and they think that meant that they were doing recon and scouting out firing positions ahead of time, and they marked it with rocks, so they knew where those firing positions would be when they came back later. So they actually disrupted the power in a small part of California. And here they say that the first bank of transformers riddled with bullet holes leaked 52,000 gallons of oil and overheated, where the control center for PG&E 90 miles north received an equipment failure alarm. All right, 52,000 gallons of oil leaked out just from some AK-47 rounds. All right, that's anti-material. And AK-47s are not particularly powerful. They're very easy to obtain. And look at how much damage they did. All right. So they're saying this was a very sophisticated attack. There were not that many casings that were found, shell casings, not many fingerprints, $15 million worth of repairs, so this is a clear example of, a situation. They even have closed circuit TV footage of the bullets striking the fence. And the reason that they knew that something was going on is when they were shooting at the transformer, aside from the transformer failing. But when the bullets were hitting the fence, it caused a vibration. And, I actually worked at power plants as a security officer. And so power plants on the perimeter fencing, or any kind of power stations, they have vibration sensors on the fencing. So if you try to climb over the fence, the vibration sensor will go off and it'll alert a security guard that's monitoring, a monitoring station. And so when the bullets were hitting, the fence, it was triggering the vibration sensor. And that's how they knew that something was going down. And then they looked at the security camera footage and they saw ricocheting bullets and muzzle flashes from the hillside behind the substation. So this is very concerning. And yeah, this happened 7 years ago, but I want to talk about it now because of everything happening with the coronavirus and China. There's talk about a war with China now. There's talk about an attack on Taiwan. And so what I think could happen is, you could have a coordinated attack on our infrastructure where you have all these sleeper agents that are suddenly activated, and they attack multiple power stations around the country with basic rifles that you can buy at the store. These sleeper agents can go to this local gun store, buy a couple of 30-06 bolt guns, put some FMJ ammo in there, and they can go to town on their local substations. And if it's a coordinated effort, they can really bring down a large amount of the power supply. And aside from doing stuff like that, they can also go after dams. They can go after trains, other types of infrastructure, and they can do so in a coordinated way so it does massive damage. They could all. What's more concerning, though, than the infrastructure attacks that the sleeper cells can do is they can also go after civilians. Okay, I personally believe that if there was a war with China, Russia, or in the Middle East, some type of another war in the Middle East, or if there's another jihad declared on America, I think they could go after civilians. I think that these sleeper cells can be activated, and then they could just go through neighborhoods and start picking people off in their homes, just going door to door and shooting people in their living rooms. Because most Americans are not armed, 24/7. When we're in our houses, we're relaxed, we're calm. And so we're sitting ducks basically, and I think that that's something that we need to be alert. And, that's why I always talk about carrying weapons on you anywhere you go. Whether you're in your house, you should always have a weapon nearby. Whether you're carrying it, concealing it, or if you have a weapon somewhere close to where you are, you should always have a weapon close to where you are. So if there was, let's say, a sleeper cell and he was coming through your neighborhood and he was going door to door, trying to rack up the body count, you have a weapon nearby that you can grab and respond to, accordingly. And same thing if you're traveling, if you're out in town, you should always have some type of weapon on you, and I'm not going to tell you what kind of weapons because there's different legalities depending on where you live. But you should have some kind of weapon that you could use to disable a sleeper cell that's on a mission to basically just win by attrition or psychological terrorism and kill people and have a maximum body count. Somebody like that needs to be disabled quickly and immediately to reduce the body count. So that's something for you guys to think about. And again, if things heat up with China, or if we were to ever go to war with China over Taiwan, which I think is a possibility in the coming, couple of years, it's possible that China could activate these sleeper cells and they could either attack our infrastructure or they could go after civilians. And same thing if there's a jihad, another, Islamic jihad against America, they could do things like that as well and also go after civilians. So we need to be armed. We need to be situationally aware. All right. That's the best way that you can protect yourself from a sleeper cell or even terrorism is you need to be aware of your surroundings. You need to be at a level of alertness that is called the orange level. So if you read about the color codes of awareness, I've actually done a video on that. If you want to check my video out on that, I did a video on color codes of awareness. It's in one of my playlists. I think it's going to be an SHTF Tactics playlist. But you have the color codes of awareness, which are typically, yellow, orange, and red. And then they have like a fourth level of awareness, which is dark red. And your yellow level is that you're like not aware at all. You're, watching TV or whatever you're doing. Orange means that you're situationally aware, but you're not overly, focused on any particular thing. You're still carrying out your day-to-day chores and tasks, but you're aware of your surroundings. You can hear things around you. You don't have headphones in your ear. You're not staring at a cell phone. That's the orange level. And then red level means that there's a threat imminent and you're focusing all your attention on that threat. And then the next level would potentially be actively engaging that threat. So you want to be at that orange level. You don't want to be constantly alert because then you're going to, over exhaust your senses and exhaust yourself, and you're going to look funny on the street if you're, looking around and checking your six every 2 seconds. But you should be on that, orange level of alertness, where you're aware of your surroundings, but you're not too aware. You're not fatiguing yourself, and you're not looking kind of crazy, So being situationally aware, read up about the color codes of awareness, carry weapons on you, know how to use them, be able to deploy them rapidly. Um, those are things that you can do to protect yourself from a sleeper cell. But I do think it's a very real threat that could potentially happen in the future, either with China, Russia, Iran. Iran is another one. I forgot to mention Iran. They could have sleeper cells here too, and they could be ready to be activated at a moment's notice to attack our infrastructure and attack civilians. So we need to be prepared for that. I mean, they could even bring down our entire power grid if they attack the right areas. And I do believe, like I said, I have contacts in the intelligence community, and there are sleeper cells in this country. You can walk around in your local town and there may be a sleeper cell in your town. Your neighbor could be an agent for Russia or China or Iran or ISIS. You don't know that, okay? These agents are very secretive. You're not going to know that they're there. They operate in secrecy. They blend in. You're not going to know that they're a sleeper agent. They could be your best friend. They could be your coworker. They could be your roommate from college. They're not going to let it be known that they're a sleeper cell, all right, until they are activated. And they're all over the place, guys. Sleeper cells are all over the place. It's just a matter of when and how they're going to be activated and if they will be activated. That's the question. It's not whether they're here. They're definitely here. They're embedded in our country. They're in your neighborhood. They're in my neighborhood. They're everywhere. And they're just waiting to get that activation notice from their handlers, whether it's Iran, China, Russia, whatever, Islamic terrorists. So they're here, guys. So you need to be aware, color codes of awareness, be ready to use your weapon, have medical gear. Also, another thing is to carry medical gear in your vehicle everywhere you go. If something happens, you can have bandages and tourniquets that you can deploy to help people and protect them from death. If somebody's bleeding out, applying a tourniquet could save their life. If you have like 50 people and there's a mass shooting, every little bit helps, because the EMTs are not going to be able to care for that many people, and they're not going to get there right away either. So having some medical equipment can be helpful too, and knowing how to use it. So sleeper agents, guys, sleeper cells, they're here, they're everywhere. Be ready for them. They could be activated at any time. So, be prepared, guys. And let me know what you think in the comments section down below. And if you like the video, subscribe, hit the thumbs up button. And thank you guys for watching. Take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.